And welcome to a special edition of the Boerne Radio Townhall. Baron Wiley here, broadcasting from the Richter Studio in downtown Boerne. And across the table from me is a young man who's asking for your vote. His name is J.C. Taylor. You're running for the County Commissioner of Precinct 2 here in Kendall County. And I say, welcome to Boerne Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Baron. How are you, man?
I'm just grateful to be in Boerne, to meet great people like you who feel a calling to do this. So let me first ask you, why are you running for County Commissioner here in Kendall County?
Yeah, the overall reason, right, for me running is to protect our high quality of life in Kendall County. I grew up in Kendall County. I'm a lifelong Kendall County resident, and I want to protect the way that I grew up for future generations, specifically my kids, my nieces and my nephews, and everybody else's kids in the community. It was such a special place growing up here.
Yeah.
And I see how it's changed, and there's a lot of great people that have come into the county. And how do we do that in a way that we're still protecting, again, that quality of life that we all enjoy here in Kendall County?
Absolutely. Well, you said growing up here. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Growing up in Boerne, what year were you born? Where did you go to school?
Yeah, so I was born in March of 1989.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, my parents and I lived in Ranger Creek.
Okay.
You know, I don't really remember it. I just remember I had a race car bed there. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And so I went to Fabra for kindergarten. And then my parents moved to Fair Oaks. And I had to redo kindergarten.
Oh.
Okay, so I got held back. You know?
Right.
And I went to Fair Oaks Ranch. The first year was opened. I think that was 1995 at the time.
Cool.
Yeah, 1995 was the first year. I get to vote on the Mustang as the school mascot, which was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I still remember that vividly. I don't know. It's weird. Well, I think when I first got dropped off on the first day, they were still kind of tinkering around building the school building, you know? And then played around, all the kids and stuff like this. And then my parents moved out, and as a result, we all followed, right? Because we were kids.
Of course.
And we moved out to State Highway 46 East, about 2 houses west of where Tex-Mex is today. Mm-hmm. I was in the 5th grade, and from Fair Oaks, I went to Kendall. I finished out my elementary school years at Kendall. I went to middle school south, and then ultimately, I graduated from Boerne High School.
Yeah. And you tell me, you were like on the tail end of before Champion came around, right?
Yeah, so actually the last year, 2008, was the last year that Boerne High School was the only high school in BISD at the time. And so out of 3 brothers, I'm the oldest, and I was actually technically the only one to graduate from Boerne High School.
Oh,
so,
what a legacy there for sure.
Yeah, now it's neat. And, you know, now my oldest daughter decided to go to Champion, and she's at Champion, so I still don't have another Boerne grad yet. I think my son, he's at Voss right now, and I think he wants to go to Boerne, and that'll be neat. So,
well, I also know this about you, 6th generation proud Texan, and the family business you're in.
Yeah, I'm in it pretty deep, and it's been great. So Texas Star Nut and Food Company, we're in Boerne. I'm 2nd generation of that company, but my grandfather also had a tree nut company.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sunshine Nut and Food Company. That was in Selma, Texas, actually. And he sold that company. And then my dad was a contract broker for them, and then he got terminated. And so...
Do it yourself now.
And then he got involved in his own. And so my dad opened up Texas Star, and then I've been there since day one, and it's been so much fun. And let me just talk to you about the politics. The politics of a family company are very dynamic.
Interesting.
I mean, and all for the better, though. It's just a lot of fun being able to work with your family and being very passionate about a desired outcome and all being on the same mission and kind of understanding what it is that we want and working together to get that done. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's a relatively big size company. Started from 0, and now we're pushing about $130 million in annual revenue. So we have close to 200 employees, and a lot of those employees are family, right? So, I mean, I have my great aunt there, actually. She's kind of quasi-retired at this point, and she's great. And so from great aunt to uncles, cousins, everybody in between, and it's a lot of fun. It's a super blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And very rewarding.
Well, we're all proud of Texas Star here in Boerne, Texas, employing so many people, investing back in the community like you do. They invested in you. You went to UTSA and got your general business degree or BBA at UTSA.
That's right.
And now You got your own family. Just brag on your family real quick there. Your wife and kids.
Yeah. So my wife, Chantel, and I have been married for 15 years. It'll be 16 years, February 28th. And that's been a true blessing. And
so on your anniversary, you're going to be door-to-door knocking?
Probably, yeah. But she likes it. It's been fun. And the kids absolutely love it. My youngest, Tom, he goes around to school. He's like, my dad's running for Kendall County Commissioner. And the way he says it is very blocked out and everything else like that. Probably because I sound a little blocked out. But, he's all into it. And then so 16 years in February, I married way up.
We all do.
Yeah. So I have to take a little bit of credit for that, for being at least wise enough to know that.
Thank you.
And we have 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, Ella's she goes to Champion.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, which is actually John the 4th.
Oh, right? Wow.
Yeah, well, we call him Charlie.
Sure.
And
John Charles Taylor.
John Charles Taylor, yeah.
But he's Charlie.
But he's
and
Charlie.
You're JC.
And I'm JC, yeah, for sake of confusion.
Right.
Confusion's sake, rather, yeah.
Right.
And he goes to Voss, and he's obsessed with fishing. It's about all he ever wants to do. He'll go out to the golf course. Sometimes he'll be allowed to be out there for a while in Fair Oaks without getting in too much trouble. And then sometimes the guys are like, you got to get out of here. You could get hit by a golf ball.
Yeah.
But he'll just go to another pond, I think.
Right.
Anyway, and then my youngest, Tom, he goes to St. Peter's. They just opened.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. Really blessed to have that kind of experience. It's a little school right now.
Your family is responsible for opening schools.
Yeah, we're part of it, right? Yeah, the student body for sure. Yeah, so it's kind of a neat deal, and we're really excited about that. So we're parishioners at St. Peter's, where my wife is a lector. My son Charlie is an altar server, and I'm lucky enough to be an extraordinary Eucharistic minister.
Cool.
Extraordinary, it's like, well, that's reserved, generally speaking, for the priest and the deacon, and then the parishioners to help out with the mass are extraordinary. So that's where that kind of comes from.
Nice title.
Yeah,
Let's get on a resume.
Yeah, right. We really enjoy it.
Well, again, growing up in the back 40, if you will, Fair Oaks Ranch off Highway 46, I can see you four-wheeling, I can see you fishing, hunting, and all that kind of fun stuff. And preserving that lifestyle is where your heart's at here in Kendall County, yes?
Yeah, of course. I've just been super blessed. So not just kind of where I live, but most of my family, right, lives here. Mm-hmm. And so my grandmother lives in Sisterdale, right across the bridge, at the Guadalupe right there. I got to go hunting there as a kid. And back in the day, we had land in the city of Boerne, and we were able to bow hunt and stuff like this. And it was just like the most unique experience ever. Those days are probably gone, but it was very different. And I think, it has changed, but it's not all changed for the worse. There's been some good change and there's been some bad change, right? Like there are some dear friends of mine that did not grow up here. Right, at all. Like they moved from San Antonio, they moved from wherever, and they're just the greatest people. With that said, I don't think that I'm a shut the gates type of guy. But what I will say is that managing that type of growth is what's really, really important. We don't actually even have the ability to shut the gate. That's not a solution. There's other things that we can do, though, perhaps, to be able to protect, again, our high quality of life and that experience that I got to have. And my kids hopefully will get to have, but maybe in a slightly different manner, right? And maybe even better than the life that I had, the way that I grew up. And leave it at least the same, if not better, than what you found it as, right? Like that was kind of one of the things that I was always taught as a kid. Like if I'm going to use somebody's whatever, make sure that you fill it back up with gas and maybe you clean it and then return it. And I think that's kind of the same approach that I look at with the county.
You mentioned it, growth, infrastructure, property taxes, kind of all the hot issues, water here in Kendall County. What do you hear from our potential voters is what's important to them?
Yeah, I think the big thing that always comes up, right, is water. Mm-hmm. And there's this feud, I think, between people that have like super green grass and people that xeriscape. People that do rain capture, reharvest, people that don't do that. And there's that balance of being able to, again, not infringe on people's rights, but there's a time and a place that, the water is for everybody, right? And we have to protect this natural resource that we all use. And so how do we incentivize conservation of water that makes sense? People really get on board to truly have the desire to conserve the water, rather than just like having the sprinklers on, every single day, or a number of different things that they could be doing that may be considered wasteful. And then development, right? There's new development going on. Where is that water coming from? Is it being regulated? Those are the types of things to kind of consider going into the future with the water. It's a precious resource. We need to be cognizant that it's limited. And so we got to make sure that we're managing it properly.
Absolutely. As a family man yourself, raising kids, you got one in high school and many in the middle there. Safety is very, very important to us. Let's just start with the roads there too.
Right. The roads. Yeah. And so that's kind of the missing piece of the puzzle, I think, to some extent. And that's one that's more solvable here locally, right? Because the water, just going back to the water really quickly, that's actually a regional, maybe even a state type of issue. Kendall County is not the only one out of the 254 in the state that's dealing with water. But to the extent that we can control the roads and what happens with the roads, that's a different story, right? And so, like, how do we make sure that the roads in the county are of high quality and safe for the residents of the county, right? And working with the state for roads like State Highway 46, 3351, 474, the list goes on. I mean, we can sit down and work with TxDOT and making sure that we're planning accordingly, looking at where we need to have stoplights on 46. And I get it. I grew up on 46. There was no stoplights on 46 when I grew up. And so, like, when I hear stoplights, it's like, that's a bummer, but it's really for safety. I was coming home from the school bus and I lived off of 46 and I saw a horrific accident and it was like very impactful. And that's continued, I mean, to some extent. I mean, 46 is just inherently a dangerous road in both west and east.
Right. There's been several deaths on that, more, I think, in the last couple of years than ever.
Right. And so widening it within the easement that currently is available, I'm not talking about taking anybody's land or anything like this, but within the easement, perhaps look at widening it. Pleasant Valley, a stoplight there. There's probably a couple of other intersections that need to be studied. I'm not a transportation expert, but I can also tell you that it's something that needs to be addressed and that we need to be proactive in planning accordingly, especially with the new development like George's Ranch coming out there, Esperanza, the continuation of that development. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it going away.
Well, if I was someone, I'd want to live here too.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, it's great here, so I understand that. And like I said, there's fantastic people that have moved in. How do we protect it in the best way possible,
Hey, if you're just joining us, we were talking with J.C. Taylor. He's running for Kendall County Commissioner in Precinct number 2. And J.C., if someone doesn't know, am I in Precinct 2? What is kind of the boundaries of your district?
Okay, so all of Fair Oaks, that's in Kendall County. It goes up north 3351 all the way north of Cordillera to the Guadalupe, I believe, west. So 3351 is the divider between Precinct 2 and Precinct 3. So anything west of 3351 up to the river, certainly up north of Cordillera, is part of Precinct 2, all the way through RMR, River Mountain Ranch, Kreitzberg, and then down 474. 474 is the other divider for the other precinct. So anything east of 474 up into Kreitzberg is Precinct 2. Down around Boerne, so it doesn't include Bentwood. It does not include Boerne High School. And then it does this weird thing kind of down Herf through Whisper Way.
Right.
And then comes back up to Herf. And it gets Herf, Esperanza, Ranches of Creekside, Ammon, and all of Cordillera. Yeah.
Is there a chance we might see you knocking on our doors in the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, for sure. Door knocking is actually my most fun thing to do in the campaign. I mean, I absolutely love door knocking.
What is the fun part about that?
Well, just getting to meet people, especially when people get excited to see me, because they're like, oh man, this guy's here. I want to talk to him. And then, so I just was out, I've already been out door knocking and, I'll knock on people's doors. Some people are like very quick, and they just want to hear my spiel and then take my push card. And there are other people that get really engaged. And then we end up talking for 10, 15 minutes.
Cool.
Which is great. And it's like, I'm going to go to this next door, and I'm glad that I could answer all your questions. This was fantastic. I got a couple more houses that I need to knock on, and then I'll go check those out. But my push card has my phone number on it, and it has my email, and like I'm always accessible.
Well, let's make you accessible. Your website, very easy. It's votejctaylor.com, votejctaylor.com. If I wanted to get involved, if I want to put a yard sign up, is that where I start?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Get on there and then request a yard sign, and you can help out however you want if you like what I have to say.
Because you're taking donations, too.
I am.
To pay for the signs.
Yeah, to pay for the signs. It's expensive to run for county commissioner.
Now, I would think you have someone in your family that might be able to sell you some stakes to put those signs in the ground there with Taylor's Ace.
Yeah, we got some help around there from some of the local businesses. Yeah,
all the family there. I know that Kendall's a cousin of yours, and so
yeah, Kendall is a cousin. Yeah,
I love all that. I'm a big fan of the Taylor family here in Boerne, Texas, providing jobs and giving back like you do and serving. I just think it's just fantastic. I do have to ask you this though: when you're going door knocking, it's good to get those calls. How many times does the door slam right back in your face there?
Very rarely, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. It's happened before.
Yeah.
And it was a political party affiliation difference. So, like, just a philosophical, ideological difference.
Game over.
Yeah. And, it's not a vote I was going to get anyway.
Right.
Whoops, But that's happened once.
Yeah, right. And those are the ones we remember.
Yeah.
J.C. Taylor, ask our listeners to give you their vote.
This is J.C. Taylor, and I'm respectfully asking for your vote. Please go to votejctaylor.com to learn more about me.
And J.C. Taylor, again, kind of stating your top priorities, but a focus on one I want you to talk about, and we talked about water, but fire in the Hill Country is a major issue.
Right. So in April of 2025, I'm sure you remember 10,000 acres burned down in Gillespie County. And I think that could have only been just a preview of the potential threat that is here in this county and surrounding areas, right? It happens, and we need to be prepared for any type of event like that. It could be catastrophic. We need to be able to be proactive and be prepared for that type of event.
And as county commissioner, you might have some influence on that.
That's right. To support the volunteer fire departments, making sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to get the job done. God forbid something like that does happen here in the county.
Do you understand how much time will be involved in your position as county commissioner?
As much time as it takes to get it to where it needs to be. Yes. Yeah.
There's so how do you balance serving the community versus working for TxDOT?
That's one of the great things about being involved in a family business, right? So I would be just on the board if I am to be elected, which means that I can be at the company on a quarterly basis, overseeing strategic initiatives for the company while being able to be full-time county commissioner. Yeah, so it's just one of the perks. Yeah, it's a great thing.
Well, that's a great thing. Again, family, Kendall County, the values, the culture.
We have a lot of good people, a lot of my family at the company, that's ready to take over and do some things that I've done and pick up the slack.
Lessons that you've learned so far in running for office.
Lessons that I've learned so far, the family's got to be all on board. I learned that in a previous campaign, and I've taken that lesson, and I've really understood what it means to have the full family support. My wife is actually my campaign manager.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we have so much fun. I mean, it's a blast when everybody's on, and we have this very specific objective. We're all rowing in the same direction, and there's a lot of power in numbers, right? And so, you're ripping through, and it's just, you're thinking about very interesting topics. Yeah. And you're coming up with solutions, and you're going out there, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, you were born here. Your generation of kids are born here.
Yeah.
And so you're forward thinking and, again, investing in our future with your business and your family. And so I thank you for raising your hand and saying, sign me up for county commissioner in Precinct 2.
Thanks.
VoteJCTaylor.com, again, is the website. Vote J.C. Taylor. John Charles Taylor III.
The third. Yeah.
But VoteJCTaylor.com for Kendall County Commissioner Precinct 2. And I say, God bless you. And again, thank you for serving.
Thanks so much, Baron. I really appreciate it, man.
And thank you for listening to Boerne Radio 103.9 FM.